possible storm in the southeast to Hurricane Flossie in the Pacific.
And now it sits at a pretty major hurricane, Category 3 status.
Dust blows into Las Vegas, while bad air quality makes life miserable for many in Arizona.
It's sort of akin to standing next to someone that's smoking a cigarette.
The role weather played in the Battle of Gettysburg.
We think the heat index at the peak of the battle was around 100.
And why the weather forecast is so important for Friday's fireworks festivities.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. Severe storms rolled across the Mid-Atlantic Wednesday afternoon and evening with strong winds and heavy rain. Baltimore seemed to take the worst of the storm. The heavy rain overwhelmed the flood-prone Fells Point neighborhood. Many cars stalled in the water and one of them even caught on fire. The good news is the water receded a short time later and there are no reports of injuries. There was also heavy rain in Pennsylvania, but nothing like what fell 24 hours earlier. Up to 6 inches of rain flooded several communities in Lancaster County. Some homeowners had up to 5 feet of water in their basements. And in nearby town, a park that's scheduled to be the center of 4th of July celebrations on Friday, that was almost entirely submerged. As Yasmin Cohen explains, cleanup would take days worth of manpower.
Bad, really bad. I mean, if you would scan around from this position, the water was probably a foot to 2 foot deeper than what it is now.
It'll take 250 to 500 people in 3 days worth of work, the borough says, to get the park back to its original state because of water damage to the grass.
We spent a lot of time this year growing grass in preparation for the event, and a lot of that is going to be in jeopardy.
The borough is working on a plan that they say will help preserve the park in times of severe weather, and officials are mapping it out now.
We're working on a plan for a stormwater basin that would be a little bit north of here behind the rec center, where we would be able to collect stormwater and keep it from coming down into the park, try to control the runoff.
But as they say, when it rains, it pours. So for Atticus Riley, he took full advantage of a free swimming day.
We don't usually come swim around here because we're usually told to get out, but today they just didn't care. So, I mean, it's been pretty good.
Tracking the tropics this morning, the National Hurricane Center is still watching an area of interest off the southeast coast. There's a 40% chance of development into a tropical system over the next week. Even if it doesn't develop, it will still bring several inches of rain to the Sunshine State this weekend. Not good news for the 4th of July. In the Pacific, all eyes are on Hurricane Flossie, which intensified over the last 24 hours. Meteorologist Chris Kuiper is tracking the storm for us.
And now it sits at a pretty major hurricane, Category 3 status. Hurricane Flossie with wind speeds about 115 miles an hour at the latest check. And that's a pretty impressive hurricane. Now, what happens to it after that? It does not make landfall in Mexico, thank goodness. It still stays off the coastline. Here we are about noontime tomorrow. It's off the coast. It's weakening further out there. It continues to weaken off the coast of Baja here by Friday morning. And by Saturday, here it is, really starting to fall apart by that time. And so really not going to make any kind of landfall in Mexico. Might shut the surf up there a little bit down towards Baja and such.
Unfortunately, Flossie won't bring any rain to the southwest, most of which remains in a significant drought. On Wednesday, a dust storm moved across the region, and in Las Vegas, the dust and 60-mile-per-hour winds were observed. That blanketed the Strip. Over at the airport, there was so much dust you could barely see the tarmac, and more than 400 flights were delayed, and poor air quality was observed all the way into Arizona. Along with temperatures at 113 degrees, it made it very tough to be outside. Sarah Robinson has more on the impacts.
Harder to breathe, a little bit of a struggle. If you woke up in the Phoenix metro area Tuesday morning, you did not see a blue sky that's typical for the valley. Instead, you likely saw this, a dusty gray haze blanketing the horizon.
I can get out of breath faster. I've been feeling more lightheaded, like I have to drink so much more water. And like my skin and my allergies have been acting up more than ever this year.
In particular, it's impacting those with lung issues.
I'm asthmatic, so it's really hard to breathe, so I did notice that as well.
It was also an issue for pilots and passengers at Sky Harbor Airport.
My flight is delayed.
The FAA issuing a departure delay advisory for low visibility.
It's sort of akin to standing next to someone that's smoking a cigarette.
Dr. Gary Kirklis is a physician at Phoenix Children's Hospital. He says in general, it's best to avoid spending time outdoors while pollution levels are this high. According to the Department of Environmental Quality, there are harmful PM10 and PM2.5 particulates from cars, burnt wood, and dust in the air.
It's difficult for us to do the lung to do its job, which is to breathe air to provide our body with oxygen.
And those dry conditions are felt in Northern California as well. That has officials with the Tahoe National Forest taking no chances when it comes to wildfire season. They just unveiled Stage 1 restrictions on visitors to the California forest. As Will Payne explains, the goal is to stop wildfires before they start.
From June 30th through October 31st, visitors cannot build a fire, campfire, or charcoal briquette outside designated campgrounds or picnic areas. They are also barred from smoking outside the designated areas, except within an enclosed vehicle or building. And all visitors are not allowed to operate an internal combustion engine off National Forest System roads and trails. But there is an exception for boats on water in the Prosser Pits developed off-highway vehicle area. Forest Fire Chief for the Tahoe National Forest, Kyle Jacobson, wants locals and tourists alike to enjoy all that the Tahoe National Forest has to offer, but to do so safely under these new restrictions.
We do get lots of fires on almost a daily basis, and this allows us to have our firefighters concentrate on the larger, more dangerous fires and not have to worry so much about little fires that can occur all over the place.
The Tahoe National Forest usually implements these fire restrictions over several stages throughout the summer, as fire officials take into account the weather, fuel moisture, fire activity levels, and fire suppression resources. Reporting in Truckee, I'm Will Payne.
It's been 9 months since Hurricane Helene struck western North Carolina, and the storm's impact will still be felt over the 4th of July holiday. The once booming Lake Lure is pretty quiet since the lake was drained to remove hurricane debris. Gracie Palmer has more.
Where I'm standing right now in Lake Lure, I would normally be completely underwater, and the docks behind me would usually be filled up with boats for the 4th of July weekend. But since Hurricane Helene, the holiday will look a little different here.
So we're going to be $20, $30, $40, $44 cash.
Sherry Cummings is happy to have her business back up and running, but it doesn't look like it usually does.
This is our store for 28 years. This is part of the garden center. This is before Helene, and this is exactly where the building was after Helene.
Sherry lost her home and her livelihood all in 15 minutes.
So we were just watching the storm, and our refrigerator from the bottom floor just kind of floated out of the kitchen and went downstream. So I said to Max, we better get out of the building.
Now she's set up a makeshift store on the side of Main Street with what was left.
Anything they thought that could be salvageable, they put in there.
And with 4th of July coming up, this would normally be her busiest season.
July begins the swimming and the beach, and none of that's going to happen.
But since the lake was drained to remove debris from Helene, the holiday will not be the same this year.
Well, they normally have fireworks, and yes, it would be 4th of July is July and October is our busiest months.
The town will also not be having their usual celebrations on the lake this year.
There'll be less business, but there'll still be people coming.
Residents say that although they know the crowds won't be as large as usual, they still expect to see people coming out to Chimney Rock State Park, which is now open Friday through Mondays.
So all these people that are going to the park will drive by and drive out.
And whether business will be booming or not, locals say they are happy to even see the progress on the lake.
And at a quick glance, this may look like a tornado outside of Atlanta, but it's not. As Birmingham meteorologist James Spann explained on Facebook, this is a scud cloud, which is a low-hanging cloud caused by a combination of rising humid air and downdrafts from a thunderstorm. Scud clouds do not rotate, therefore they are often mistaken for funnel clouds. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, how weather can impact Friday night's fireworks displays, and the role that the weather may have played at the Battle of Gettysburg.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. Today's another warm and humid day here in the Northeast. Most of you will top out in the 80s to near 90 degrees. We'll see a lot of sun, and there's a very low chance for showers and thunderstorms for our Wednesday today. Now, things start to change on Thursday. It's a mostly sunny day. We'll have elevated humidity again. Keep an eye to the sky during the afternoon for a few thunderstorms. Some may become strong to severe Thursday afternoon. Lower humidity with a lot of sun will arrive on your Independence Day.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Duvaley. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. The front that we just passed through the area is going to continue to bring a few showers as we move through your Wednesday morning, continuing that activity, especially south of the front on Wednesday afternoon. We'll start to see things drying out considerably going into Thursday. Temperatures will still be pretty warm, upper 70s to upper 80s on the lowlands, but we'll be talking about temperatures a bit warmer. 70s up in the mountains, near 90 degrees down near the coast.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs for the day. It looks like we're seeing 90 in Atlanta, 91 in Tupelo, Pensacola about 88 degrees, 89 West Palm. Looking at some spotty showers scattered across the area. It looks like we're going to see a mixture of sun and clouds across Tennessee Valley over towards portions of Mississippi as we get through the afternoon. But a few pop-up showers along the I-95 corridor. A weak front will continue to kind of stall out over Florida as we go through the next few days, dropping plenty of rainfall across parts of the southeast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Downpours washed in the month of July in numerous places, from wind and pelting rain in Arlington, Virginia near D.C., and lightning to flooded streets in the Baltimore area, and a thunderstorm downpour unleashed on a trio of towns near Lewiston, Maine. And these resemble ocean waves, but they're Kelvin-Helmholtz clouds spotted near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
Europe is still sizzling under a record-breaking heat wave. Abnormally hot weather has people across the continent searching for ways to stay cool. The mercury topped 100 degrees Fahrenheit in Paris, leading officials to close the Eiffel Tower until Thursday. It's normally open 365 days a year. The good news is that the temperature should start to drop starting tomorrow. It's a completely different story in Argentina. This is, of course, the middle of winter in the southern hemisphere. But right now, it's colder than usual with frigid weather settling in. And some places saw snow this week for the first time in a dozen years. Many schools had to cancel classes. This week marks the 162nd anniversary of the three-day battle at Gettysburg, a pivotal moment in the Civil War and American history. Last year, Emily Gracie spoke to meteorologists from Penn State who has been analyzing weather data from that time in an effort to get a better understanding of what it felt like for soldiers during the battle.
Yeah, the battle was fought July 1 through 3, 1863, in Gettysburg, a small community in south central Pennsylvania, not far from the Maryland border. The research I'm working on actually focuses on the entire Gettysburg campaign, which most historians argue began around June 3rd, when most of the armies were near Fredericksburg, Virginia. So it's that whole period that we're trying to look at a little more carefully than has been done in the past.
Before you started this research, what was kind of the general idea of what weather was like during the battle?
It was warm and it was humid. Many people who know a little bit about history have probably heard of Pickett's Charge as being sort of a culminating battle on the afternoon of July 3rd. We know that the temperature was around 90, and some of the new work that we've done recently have estimated the dew point was in the mid-70s. Now, for those who aren't familiar with dew point, It's a way we meteorologists convey discomfort. And once the dew point gets to that 75, as you know, that's pretty uncomfortable. That's kind of like South Florida in summer.
Yeah.
And so we think the heat index at the peak of the battle, and this is sort of the new work that we did that no one had ever estimated before, was around 100. They've just walked, some of them, 30 miles in 24 hours to get to Gettysburg once the battle started. So you've got dehydration, exhaustion. They're not eating properly, poor sanitation, and they're carrying tens of pounds of equipment. So, the weather, you might say, well, 90 degrees, heat index of 100, that's not good, but it could be worse. And absolutely it could be worse. But, heat index doesn't take into account any of those things. And it also doesn't take into account, were you in the sun?
And to hear more from Dr. Neese, including how he made his calculations for that day, check out our podcast, Off the Radar. You'll hear about many historical dates in history that he's looking at and the importance of forensic weather analysis for these events. Find Off the Radar anywhere you listen to your podcast. What affects every part of our lives, including firework displays, on the 4th of July now, which is 2 days away, meteorologist Violet Skybor explains.
So the four main weather factors that impact the fireworks show is the wind. If we have too much, that can blow those missiles off course when they're shot into the sky and make it look a little bit different than what it's supposed to, the firework itself, making it look a little choppy. If the winds are too light, then after the firework goes off, the smoke looks to stay in place and block the view of the next firework that they'll be shooting off. And it can even cause some air quality issues at the surface, especially if the smoke is landing right over the crowd. Another weather factor to keep in mind is we obviously need clear skies. If you have a black background because of the clear skies at night, that can lead to a better view of the actual firework colors themselves. And we need dry air conditions. Yes, the humidity plays a role in what the fireworks look like. If it's more humid, the colors of the fireworks are less vibrant. Plus, warm temperatures help as well. That helps the smoke from each firework to rise away and clear the environment for another one to go off, so being able to view that firework a little bit better. Also, we want to talk about some other at-home fireworks. That includes sparklers. Some safety tips is to light one at a time, only light them outside. If you're going to give them to children, make sure to keep an eye on them. And it's better to put them in the ground than to have someone hold them in their hand. Plus, keep your distance away from others and away from yourself when holding it. And extinguish it in water when you're done. Keep in mind, 25% of emergency room visits are from sparkler burns. So make sure to stay safe this upcoming 4th of July.
A byproduct of those celebrations can sometimes stick around longer than we'd like. Meteorologist Kit Alexander explains why smoke can linger after the festivities.
The 4th of July is coming quickly. It won't be long before millions of Americans will be enjoying a dazzling display of fireworks. But I'm sure many of you have noticed the sky is becoming smoky after the big event. Often this is temporary, but it can take some time to clear. From a meteorological standpoint, one of the main reasons for this is due to something known as a nocturnal inversion. So a nocturnal inversion is a warm layer of air aloft that happens generally in the late evening into the overnight. Warm air aloft is able to trap the pollutants near the surface, hindering it from escaping into the atmosphere. The result is the smoke being trapped near the surface, which can temporarily impact air quality. Regardless, the 4th of July shows provide a lot of fun for the whole family, and the smoke is usually just temporary. So have a fun and safe 4th.
People find hail confusing. Usually they don't understand why frozen balls of ice fall during warm spring and summer storms. But there's a very good reason, as meteorologist Mitchell Coombs shows us.
Hail begins as evaporating water from the Earth's surface. The water droplets are then captured in the updraft of a thunderstorm, eventually reaching the freezing layer high in the atmosphere, where they quickly freeze. These frozen drops will periodically fall partially through the storm before being swept up in the updraft again. As it passes back through the freezing layer, it will grow in size from freezing supercooled water droplets or smaller pieces of ice to its surface. As long as the updraft can keep the hailstone suspended, the cycle can repeat many times, allowing the hailstone to grow larger and larger. Eventually, the weight of the hailstone will exceed the vertical force from the updraft and it will fall to the surface. They can range from the size of a pea to a tennis or baseball, all the way up to the exceptionally rare size of grapefruits and DVDs. A correlation exists between a thunderstorm's updraft speeds and the size of hail it can produce. For example, non-severe hail up to nickel size will require updraft speeds less than 47 miles per hour. For severe criteria hail common to our region, quarter size to hen egg size will need those updraft speeds around 50 to 70 miles per hour. And for those exceptionally rare grapefruit size hailstones, the updraft speeds need to be nearly 100 miles per hour.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. A couple of stray showers out across the plains for the day today, but most of the Midwest staying pretty dry. Just a slim chance for rain for some of us. A lot of sunshine and temperatures in the 90s or at least mid to upper 80s for most of us for the day today. Cranking up the temperatures a little bit more for tomorrow, getting up into the triple digits there in South Dakota. And as we head towards Friday, a little rain moving in from the west.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Temperatures are a little steamy this morning all along the coast from New Orleans down into Brownsville. Really nice as you get up in Amarillo. Still some leftover rain, tropical rain up into Midland. Big plume of tropical moisture still moving up. This front will cause a few showers down into Louisiana and back out toward East Texas. Otherwise, another humid morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there and good Wednesday morning to you, everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, we are starting to see some weather complications just that time of year as we head into early July. Monsoonal moisture starting to bubble up in the desert southwest and some high fire danger in the Pacific Northwest. You can see where some of those thunderstorms will grow near Albuquerque and Salt Lake City today. Dry, lightning, gusty winds leading to fire danger in Washington and Oregon. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Time now for a lesson on cloud iridescence. Here's meteorologist Jeff Exline.
Have you ever looked up in the sky and seen vibrant, shimmering colors dancing within the clouds? These mesmerizing displays are known as iridescent clouds. Tom Leonard Jr. shared these fabulous photos of cloud iridescence from Fairpoint, Ohio. The delicate colors of iridescent clouds often manifest as random patches of bands at the edge of the clouds. However, when droplet size is uniform throughout the cloud, they can form organized coronal rings. Cloud iridescence occurs when sunlight hits tiny water droplets or ice crystals in the clouds. The light bends and spreads out, kind of like it's going through a prism. And just like that, you get the colors of the rainbow. You'll usually catch it when the sun's just behind the cloud, so it lights things up just right. The term iridescence is derived from Iris, the Greek personification of the rainbow.
And here's a very rare sight in the western Montana sky. Staying on the topic of clouds, noctilucent clouds are the highest clouds in the atmosphere, forming in the stratosphere technically, which is some 50 miles above the Earth's surface. They form when ice crystals form on dust particles, possibly from meteors or volcanoes, and they're only visible during astronomical twilight and sunrise and sunset. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. Make it a great day, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.